So first, let me apologize. We were going to do a live stream, and Google went ahead and changed the live stream screen to confuse the hamster because I'm an old man. But we did it on a Discord with Undead Chronic and Bass FZZ, so I hope Undead Chronic will post it. And I promise I'll learn how to use live streaming again. But anyway, some interesting news about men's rights. This just happened, I guess, this weekend. Women may have to register for the draft, as federal judge in Texas declares the all-male military draft to be unconstitutional. No shit, Sherlock. Federal judge rules that a men-only draft is unconstitutional, but stopped short of ordering the Selective Service system to register women for military service. Houston judge sided with a San Diego men's advocacy group that challenged the government's practice of having only men sign up for the draft. 2 men filed a suit. In America, here we haven't had any draft since 1973. But it has always been only men who have to sign up for the draft. And before the constitutional amendment granting 18-year-olds the right to vote, men were drafted and sent to die without having a vote. Isn't that something? Of course, women were granted the right to vote with the, didn't have the responsibility to sign up for the draft because they're all special and precious and they're just angels. We can't have women out in the air. Well, we've been saying this for a while here. Not only is it unconstitutional, it's unequal. It's not fair. Feminism is about equality for all. Isn't that what we're told? No. Feminism is about equality when it benefits women positively. When it doesn't benefit women positively, inequality is perfectly fine. Look at the college situation and look at this, Selective Service. Now, some people say, well, you shut up, hamster. You were never drafted. We haven't had a draft for like 50 years. You pussy, sign the card. You see, the thing is with Selective Service, and if you're not in the United States and if you're a female, you don't understand this, but if you do not sign up for Selective Service, and I think there's a way to get out of it, maybe religious objections and stuff like that, but for the most part, you've got to sign the card and you've got to keep the Army or the military or Selective Service. You have to tell them where you are. Everywhere you live, between 18 and 26 years old. If you move, you got to send in another card. You got to make sure they know where you are in case they need to draft your ass. The second part of that is, if you don't sign up, you could be fined, you could be put in jail, you cannot get a federal job, you cannot get student loans to go to college if you don't sign the paper. Obviously, this is something women do not have to do. Isn't it amazing that someone found it to be unconstitutional? U.S. District Judge Gray Miller ruled late on Friday that although historical restrictions on women serving in combat, quote, may have justified past discrimination, men and women are now equally able to fight. Well, at least that's what we're told. Restrictions for women in the military were lifted by the Pentagon in 2015. So feminazis, you can thank your black Jesus for this one because he was president in 2015, wasn't he? Oh, yeah. The ruling could see an end to the Selective Service system, which was upheld in the Supreme Court in 1981. That was the year before I graduated high school, so I was one of the first crop of young 18-year-olds to have to sign up for the draft, after Vietnam, of course. So in this case, Rotzker versus Goldberg, the court ruled that the male-only draft was fully justified because women were ineligible for combat roles. This case was brought by the National Coalition for Men, a men's rights group, and the 2 men who argued that the all-male draft was unfair. The ruling by Judge Miller comes as an 11-member commission is studying the future of the draft, including whether women should be included or indeed whether there should continue to be Selective Service at all. How much you want to bet the feminazis come down on the side of get rid of it? The National Commission on Military, National, and Public Service released an interim report last month, but it did not reveal on which side it would come down. However, the commission chairman Joe Heck told USA Today, I don't think we will remain with the status quo, meaning they're going to remove it so the women's don't have to sign up. And I'm sure now and the feminists and all of these people will see, yeah, it's about time we got rid of that draft. Now that we have to sign up for it. Fucking surprise, huh? The government had argued that the Texas court should delay its ruling until the commission makes its recommendations. However, it's not expected until 2020. Also, because the commission is advisory, there's no guarantee that Congress will act upon it. Well, certainly the Democrat House of Representatives is going to vote in favor of the feminazis. I mean, we have no problem with that, do we? No, I don't think so. Andrea Cortez, I'm sure, or whatever her name is, will be all about getting rid of the draft suddenly. It'll be a fucking epiphany. You're right. We shouldn't have a draft now that women have to sign up for it. Oh, God. Oh, my goodness. The ruling says, quote, the average woman could conceivably be better suited physically for some of today's combat positions than the average man, depending on which skills the position required. Combat roles no longer uniformly require sheer size or muscle, he stated. That's absolutely true. And let's be honest, if you're a frail woman and you're drafted to go into, if there's a war or something like that, you could fly an airplane. There's no reason you couldn't do that. You could drive a truck. You could even grab a rifle and go to the front lines if you want to. But there's a lot of behind-the-scenes activity. Remember Rosie the Riveter, World War II? All that behind-the-scenes stuff. Women's were they weren't fighting battles in Europe, but they were building ships and guns and bullets and tanks and shit. There's plenty of those jobs to do if you're drafted into the military, ladies. So, suck it up, Buttercup. Miller ruled that the restrictions based on gender must substantially serve an important governmental interest today, not from the past. Under current law, women can volunteer. Of course they can. It's their choice. But men have no choice. If he's drafted, he gets to go kill people, or be killed, or both. That's not fair, is it? Friday's ruling came in the form of a declaratory judgment, and not an injunction, which means the court didn't specifically order the government how to change selective service to make it constitutional. Mark Angelucci, the lawyer for the men, and he's the men's rights guy, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. He was in The Red Pill. There was an extensive interview with him. Yes, to some extent, this is symbolic, but it does have some real-world impact. Either they need to get rid of the draft registration or they need to require women to do the same thing that men do. I will almost bet you a six-pack of beer. If there's action on this, the draft will go away. Because we cannot inconvenience women, can we, boys? James Maxwell, thanks for listening.